Welcome, everyone. My name is Jimena Paul. I'm the CEO at Nala. And today, I'm very excited about our session 2 from our AI and HR learning path. Today is all about skills. It's all about how are we going to help our managers, and how are we from HR going to help our top performers just get those skills they need for this new AI world. And as always, we're going to have some insights on AI, little nudges that we think are crucial in order for you to get ready and work around these topics within your company. We're going to talk about business impact, and specifically, we're going to go deeper into workforce planning and talent optimization in the AI world. And we're going to show you how Nala works, and we're going to share some cool things that we can do with our software. So today, it's all about performance management in the AI world. And I just wanted to start with what for us matters the most. And this is what moves Nala in everything that we're doing. We're all about helping our clients build cultures that are very good and very effective in not only attracting, but also engaging. And I don't like the word retain, but it's retaining top talent, because we know that's the foundation for a resilient company, especially nowadays. When you think about everything changing, it's going to be really those companies that are able to align and to have the best minds, the ones that are going to be able to figure it out and succeed in this hectic world we're living right now. As we know, and we have talked about this in prior webinars, a talent-first culture basically has three things, and this is what people that are top talent are looking for when they're looking for a company. They want to be part of a company where people want to stay and leaders inspire the growth. It doesn't matter where we stand in terms of technology. Leadership, it's a very critical component from what a top talent expect. The second thing, which brings today's topic, it's high performance environments. So top talent likes to be part of teams that challenge them, that support them, and that celebrate results. So they're very goals driven. So when we think about high performance environments, we know those are going to be the companies that succeed in adopting AI within their structure while keeping people in the center. So we're going to talk a bit about that. And the third component means opportunities and mobilities. Top talent wants to be in companies where organizations, they're investing, they're betting on growth of their top talent. So today, what we're going to talk is how AI is impacting how we create this high performance environment, and specifically, why is that relevant when we talk about creating a talent first culture. This is something that my co-founder always says. The goal of performance management, it's not to measure, it's to make performance better. So I know, and we see this all the time with our clients and with many other companies, somehow performance management ended up being just several surveys that we do throughout the year. There's not a real connection between what we're doing all the time and the investment. It's a process that creates a lot of friction. And on the other hand, it's very unclear if we're actually improving performance as a whole. So we always like to start with this. And when we think about the role that we have from HR in improving performance, as of today, we're going to focus on two things. So on one hand, we have organizational design. So this is very HR. And if we're talking about improving the performance of a company, who is leading the team, how the team is designed, what are the tools they're using? These are all variables where we at HR have a lot of impact, and they do have an impact on performance. The second thing would be the famous performance cycle. So the whole reason why companies go through the trouble and why this all started is because we know from the theory that having clear goals and alignment, guaranteeing feedback loops where people get feedback on how they could improve, and skills development are the three things that you need in order to improve performance consistently. So these cycles originally were designed to make sure we were checking these three areas: guaranteeing alignment, feedback inputs, and ongoing skills development. So when we think about these two things that we from HR we own, and when we take the AI component in, and how does that impact how we from HR improve performance, the first thing that we're going to challenge you to reflect, it's okay, how is the AI world changing or challenging beliefs that we have around organizational design and around how we run our performance cycles? So before we go into that, we're gonna do a little bit of a recap of what we learned last session around AI. That was the first learning component. So and again, you can go back to the other sessions and the full slides are gonna be available in the end of this presentation. But we first talk about the types of AI, and just going from before ChatGPT, which would be the regular calculator, to a more advanced calculator that takes numbers, but also it's allowed to create images and graphs and analysis. And then to the one that now is the buzzword, agentic AI. So it's giving this awesome calculator tools so that they can work and they can run workflows with supervision, but pretty independently, like you're able to delegate things to them. So the three types, and of course, in the role that you guys are in, it's important to know the basics. And then the layers to working with AIs in today's company. So the first one being the models, that would be like the brain. Okay, what type of model you're going to use? And this is not just around brand. So within ChatGPT, probably you guys have noticed, there are different models. It's not that one is better than the other, but models were built to be very good at different things. The second layer would be, okay, if I already picked the model, what data from my company am I going to share with the model so that it can be trained in order to do something else and work with me? The third thing is, it's when I want to give the AI access to my tools. So it's not just about helping me write an email. I actually want the AI to go into my calendar and coordinate meetings and schedule something and send an update, whatever it is. And the fourth component, which right now it's a very there's not just best practices yet. It's okay, as AI comes in to our organizations, what are the rules? What are the lights, the signs, like permissions, privacy? So it's how companies are deciding not just where they're going to do AI, but how, what are going to be the rules? And then we also talk about this concept, user cases. And if you are not familiar with it, it's extremely important that you are, especially if you're in HR, because when we're thinking about implementing AI initiatives, right now it's not about running random experimentations. It's about identifying situations where we think that AI might improve performance. It's bringing those user cases and analyzing what type of AI we might need. And this graph that we were showing last week, it's just helping us understand that you have some AIs and they have different levels of autonomy, meaning how much time from you they're going to need in order to work and deliver. And then depending on the type of AI, it's also the complexity. Complexity meaning developing the AI, the cost of the AI, like how complex it is, how big of an investment is it going to be from time, resources, and minds. So a lot of like interpreter would be what most of us do with ChatGPT. So it requires you to be there with the AI working at the same time. When we take it to the next level, the co-author one is when you're creating something with the AI. So I know a lot of companies are using this, for example, for job descriptions or skills or competencies dictionaries. So it's not just you ongoing. You can leave the AI and they have some level of autonomy into creating that output. So it's a co-creation. And then what we call deputy. Deputy would be an AI that has a lot of autonomy. So you can, like somebody in your team that has already been trained, you can delegate things. But of course, there's always some supervision or guidance required. So when we're talking about user cases, what we're seeing in companies is that today, there's a lot going on here. So as people have already started to use AI in the day-to-day basis, not necessarily because of work, companies are starting to either set up the rules. They have already decided on the model. They've already decided what info they're going to share with the model. A lot of the employees, they have some level of AI already interacting with their tools. Now, in order to take it to the next level, the co-author level, the deputy level, it's also about understanding the rules of the game. And a lot of the companies are also in a moment where they're trying to define. So where are we going to invest? Because when you're talking about the deputy AI, it's complex, meaning it's probably a big investment for the company in time, but you will prioritize initiatives that you think are going to have a bigger impact on the business. So again, HR is another function of the company. So whenever we're thinking about how we're going to be using AI, we need to have that mindset so that we can not just create a roadmap, but understand what type of challenge might require more time and investment, and what other type of challenge maybe we would just need the initial layer of AI in order to improve performance very quickly. Now, when we go back to organizational design, with everything that I'm telling you right now, there's certain things that we think are going to change. And I just want you to take this as a suggestion, as an invitation to reflect. So one thing that we feel pretty confident, it's going to be the new unit of work. So today, the minimum unit is a person. We think that pretty close, it's going to be a person plus the AI specialized agent. So that's going to be the new minimum team structure. And so, like an example, a recruiter working side by side with an AI sourcing agent and an AI scheduling assistant. We're seeing new roles emerge beyond the technology areas. So a lot of, maybe your company, you guys already have this, but try to think outside of the box. This is not just technology. These are, it might be not the name, but what these people are doing, it's going to become more and more common ground in every team, no matter what the type of problem you're tackling. So we have the AI product owner, somebody that can define business problems that AI should solve. And going back to the last slide, which AI and into what depth? AI ops, it's going to monitor model quality, bias, drift. We've seen some pretty interesting head news in the past weeks. It's not about letting the AI run wildly. It's, you need to have people that understand how these models work and are able to monitor so that they don't drift, they don't start hallucinating or recommending things that they should not be recommending. Data steward, ensuring data is clean, accessible, and compliant. For those of you that have already been working with, for example, ChatGPT, there's like, it used to be that we were good at looking for things in Google. Now we're getting better at drafting prompts. So now it's not just a prompt, it's the data that you're going to upload. So as you know how AI works or your agent works, you're going to be able to, you need to be able to give the data in a way that it makes sense. And that's going to have an impact on the data, the process, everything that you're inputting to these agents. And the agent wrangler, it would be very important. It's like the one that orchestrates workflows between multiple AI agents and gets to decide what goes when something needs maybe taken from an agent and going back to a human, or on the other hand. So I would invite you to think about these new roles as potential topics that you could use to train your managers, your people, because as AI becomes part of your structure, these are things that are going to be required in basically every team. And this comes from last session. These are just 4 examples of functional skills for leader that we're seeing emerging. And we're not talking just for a group of leaders that are more close to the tech. This will become more and more something that is going to be part of the core. So translating challenges into AI-ready questions so that they know how to engage with them. Integrate AI agents into workflows without losing traceability and control. Very important, without losing traceability and control. Recognizing AI limitations. If you don't know how it works, you're not going to be able to identify a problem or even be a sounding voice when it comes to building safeguards. And of course, read, question, and decide with AI-generated insights. So we leave you this slide. Hopefully, this will give you at least ideas of things that you could start thinking when you're organizing maybe some training sessions or some topics that you would like to include as you continue to prepare your workforce to adopt more and more AI. And again, let's remember, everything we're talking about, it's to improve performance. This is not just AI for AI. It's because we believe that an AI-powered, people-led organization is it's the way to go. Now let's go to see this like in a user case. And last week, one of the things that we did was we created this modeling of an organization in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years, and how does the org structure look, the leadership role, and what are the expected outcomes, emerging skills, fading skills, and the types of intelligence that were involved. So when it comes to what we're going to talk right now, I just want to focus your attention on this situation. So what I'm going to show you right now, it's how an org structure, bringing it to a very simple case, a team, might look like in a year and in 3 years. And we're also going to talk about how that will also shift, how we support the team so that they get from A to B, and also how we measure performance so that we can actually monitor that and understand what are the things that we're doing that are actually improving the performance. This is an example, and it doesn't matter where they're from, what they do. This is what you would find in most organizations today when you go to their org charts. So it's basically a manager that has a group of people. Every one of them have different roles, so they work as a team. And Daniel, in this case, the CTO, is responsible for them. So they have a way of, he understands the KPIs, they plan ahead, they work as a team. In this specific case, we're talking about a technology team, so they know a lot about technology, but this is like how their org chart would look like. And I just want also to emphasize the roles. So we have here a project manager, 2 full stack developers, 2 backends. And then let's go here. So in a year, maybe this has already started in your company, but we're talking about at scale, not just one team in the company or 2 teams or the technology team in the company. This concept of agents for the team is going to become more popular. So Daniel right now, he's in a moment where he's actually understanding and deciding what are the agents that are going to be embedded into the team to support collective goals. So at this point, Daniel is very involved identifying, hopefully with the help of HR, what are the areas where in the next year, AI should be running some tasks, and how are those agents going to interact with his team. But at the same time, Daniel is already using, in an independent way, some personal agents. So these are agents that are supporting him on more like day-to-day work, just like what a lot of us are doing. Maybe he's already writing some emails with ChatGPT. Maybe he's already connecting some of the dots. But at this point, there's not a clear group of agents that's available for them, and it's part of like how they work. But we think this is going to be in less than 3 years. So in this new structure, Daniel already has 4 agents. So he's the one responsible to decide who from the team is going to be working with what agent. And of course, he's even more into working with his own agents. At this point, agents' needs have shifted. They're more into helping him support his team and understand more of the workflow. Over here, for example, we have agent 1, the DB tester. So this agent specifically allows anyone to test new database queries and optimizes runtimes. So this is one that Daniel has decided to give access to 3 team members. So as you're seeing, we're seeing like a new org structure. We're seeing the new unit, a person with a group of agents, and we're also seeing a manager working with a group of agents and a group of people and orchestrating how they work together. So as we see this, there's 2 things that from HR we should be thinking of. The first thing is going to be what's HR roles in improving performance as we're hearing this story. So the first thing, and this is why these arrows are orange, we know because we've been there, this is not about just telling people, hey, we're going to use AI. There's a whole process to it. So a lot of the companies right now, they're in the process of identifying where and how they're going to invest in AI, where and how they're going to develop those agents. Some agents are going to be hired from the outside. Some of them are going to be built from the inside. But what we all know is that this is happening, and it's expected to happen within the next 2 to 3 years. It's going to be fast. For some companies, even faster. So the first thing that I would invite you to reflect is, first, am I involved in this conversation in my company? Do I even know about this? Am I being part of a conversation where we're talking about that future? At least, am I aware of that so that we can help our business prepare? Because every shift will require new tools, change of process, new roles, skills development. So if you ask me, it's not about if this is happening or not in your company. Is it if you are part of the discussion or not? So if you're not, I would encourage you to find who is leading the conversation so that you can be a part of that. It's going to be a learning, it's going to be a journey full of learnings and also challenges, but it also is what's going to make sure the organization remains with a people-centered focus as they make these decisions. And the second thing, if that conversation is not happening within your company, maybe you take the lead. Because what we do know as we think about these talent-first cultures is that top talent, it's expecting to be in places where they're learning, where they're using technology, and in high-performing teams. And this will happen in companies that are better at adapting, at better and including all of these tools in a smart way. And the second thing that I want you to think about, it's okay, so in this new, like in the third scenario that we were talking about, a scenario that's very possible in 2 to 3 years, how is performance going to change in an AI-driven organization? Let's talk about performance. And as at the beginning, I was telling you about performance management. So when we think about performance management, and I told you, it's not just about measuring, but what you don't measure, it cannot be improved. So my nudge would be, as you're comparing how we do performance cycles today and how we are getting ready for any type of cycle, it's not just going to be about outputs, it's also going to be about how we measure the orchestration between humans and agents to truly improve results. Okay, and I'm going to say this again. It's going to be how we have visibility of how this orchestration is actually happening. So what we're giving you here are 3 concepts. So first, it's efficiency. So as you're thinking about developing and including these agents, how are you going to measure efficiency? So the percentage of the work that's being resolved by AI, task completed by AI compared to the total task. So for example, if somebody's using an AI agent for support tickets, how many of those support tickets were resolved by the AI? Not just tasks for the AI, they were resolved successfully. So there's an efficiency part of it. The second thing is effectiveness. So out of those tasks, how many were accepted without human correction? And again, maybe you, out of the 300 emails, the AI accepted 255 without any type of edit. So human requirement was not involved in 80% of them, which was the goal for that specific agent. Great. The trickiest part is adoption. And you might have heard how many companies are investing a lot of money in just giving their employee tools so that they can play around. Nobody's using them, or a very small group of people are using it because they don't know how to, or they don't understand, or they're overwhelmed, or there's a lot of anxiety and uncertainty. So adoption is, what's the percentage of eligible tasks delegated to AI by employees? So for example, an employee had 150 follow-ups, 120 were delegated to an agent. The takeaway here is that performance management in the AI era is not just about what gets done and how we can make sure it gets done. It's how humans and agents can collaborate to get it done better. So it will require a new way of thinking about these cycles, but keeping the main thing always, like, don't lose track of what's important. Everything we're doing, initiatives we're prioritizing from an AI perspective, they are only relevant if they are helping us improve performance and making people's job easier and the mission of the company more impactful. So whatever it is that we do, remember, it's going to be even more important to be aligned with clear goals and objectives so that we understand what we need from the agents. Second, feedback will remain important. We do know that humans will learn by feedback, and feedback it's a very effective way to. That's why we're all the time in human resource obsessed with managers giving feedback to their employees so that they can learn and they can improve and they know what's expected. But we need to add another variable today, which would be the feedback between these teams of humans and agents. And that's going to bring another layer of complexity, but that's the reality. So feedback is going to be important, feedback loops, and not just between humans. And the third thing is going to be skills development. So going back to this slide, as we're thinking how the different teams are going to go through this, we're talking about new tools, we're talking about new roles, we're talking about new ways of measuring performance, we're talking about probably a more quicker way of adapting goals as agents become more efficient and as people become more creative into things that they can do with agents in this new era. So the performance will change for sure. Now we're going to go to another user case. And before I do that, let me just check one thing before I share, because now I'm going to show you what we have been doing in Nala. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, perfect. And before I share you what we're learning in Nala, let me start a bit like from the start. So this is what we're seeing in a lot of companies. The bigger the company, these processes or these challenges are done in isolation from different teams, different tools, different everything. So all the way from onboarding to talent review and succession planning. And when we started Nala a couple of years ago and how we see Nala now, we see Nala as the software that's able to help you do a lot of things around these challenges while being able to do a lot of things for different stakeholders. So just, and again, this is not just Nala, this is how softwares are evolving. So when you think of this, it's huge because it means that this will for sure have an impact in terms of how we structure our HR teams. You're not going to need to have different verticals if you are able to have a layer, Nala in this case, as an example, that's going to help you run different processes, have everything in one place, but also having the ability to not just do different things, but also give different stakeholders what they need from the data, which is the biggest challenge right now. So when we think about what we have been talking in this session, right now, what we're going to do is we're going to show you a bit. It's only going to be a bit, and this is not going to be like a full demo of the performance management module in Nala, on how Nala, on certain topics, it's already doing this when it comes to performance management, okay? So now I'm just going to switch my screen, and I'm going to go to Nala. And this is real Nala. You guys are in with me. And for those who are here, you're going to get the access and you're going to be able to go in and play around. So welcome to Nala. What you're seeing here is Nala's each employee one-pager profile. So it doesn't matter where the data is coming. Nala will always keep an updated version of that employee profile. And because we're doing this mini demo through Linda's role, she's the administrator. So that's why she has a lot of information on the people. So when we're talking about performance management specifically, I just want to share one thing. So in Nala, we have made it so that first you can have your own skills dictionary here. You can start using the one that Nala has already embedded, or you can create your own. And this is one part where we are inviting our clients to create different skills and to define levels. Here you can just put the description. You can have behaviors associated with the basic level of that skill. So this is where you're letting Nala know what are those skills that are important for the company, and not just the ones from the roles today, but the ones that you might want to add in some of the assessments, because you're trying to get a sense of where people are so that you can effectively increase that skill adoption in the next year, for example. So with everything with AI, it has a huge difference. It changes everything if you have information organized. So for example, in this case, once you've gone through the trouble and Nala knows this, and you're able to set up this assessment from our system, and the system will be able to run them, do the follow-ups, create the reporting, and whatsoever. The cool thing about this is that Nala, once we start getting data, Nala will allow you to, for example, compare people that are in the same position. So in this case, for example, we only have one person. But imagine if here I start adding new people. Okay, and we're going to start Ellen. And depending on the information that Nala has on the employees, and depending on the position that you're reviewing, it's going to give you an idea of skills that might not be applicable yet to the role they're having right now, skills that may need to be developed because nobody has ever measured them, or skills that they don't have yet the required level in order to do so. So think of this when you're trying to assess a whole team. You're going to be able to see this, and Nala will help you understand where to work on. Or again, if you're incorporating an emerging skill, like when we talked last session, you can add that to your assessments in a very user-friendly way. The second thing would be around path. So let me go to an example. Nala, because it has all the data, is going to allow you to see this from a different perspective. Okay, let's talk about Bruno. And okay, I'm thinking about Bruno as a sales director. Okay, so what I'm seeing here, this has never been measured for him. Never. This one is not applicable for this role. He already has this. So if I'm thinking about Bruno for this role, and maybe we'll agree he was going to be a successor for it, this is where I could at least start to plan ahead and see how I could support Bruno with his individual development plan, making sure whatever we're doing with him, it's aligned with the skills we know he's going to require for the new role. And in this case, it might not be a new role. It might be the new future where we are working with AI agents. So how are we working around this with our clients? We're helping them first challenge, review, and use the technology to be as specific as possible. We can just set it up so that it's not only skills around the positions they're doing right now, it's also future skills that you're going to ask feedback on. And then from the system, you're going to be able not only to do that, you're going to be able to document some actionable items, and Nala will give you some advice on how to develop those skills in a way that's easy so that you can keep track and you can monitor them. So that would be one very specific part around the skills. And like I was saying, we know this is hard, and I know for those who have done this manually, it's a nightmare. But trust me, when you have these type of tools, the first step is keeping, like we were saying before, the data organized, and you need to understand how these systems are going to need the data. But once you go through that hurdle, it all comes very fast. Why? Because, for example, in Nala, when we're talking about the performance management module and you're thinking about running a performance assessment, the system, it's very flexible. It allows you to do a test process. You get to decide the audience. You get to decide if in this specific process, you just want to have some questions and maybe a skills assessment. And the skills assessment are going to come from what we were just talking about, or you just want to do a goal assessment. So why am I bringing this to your attention? Because when we were talking in the beginning about improving performance, what I'm showing you right now, it's systems like Nala can help you keep an eye on what's relevant, making sure everybody has goals and they're aligned, and you can set up reviews so that people stay on top of those goals as they evolve. Feedback and ongoing feedback. when we're talking about at least the human and human, in NALA, you can add an extra step, making sure that managers have a conversation before the employee gets the full report from NALA and some suggestions. And the third thing, as we're thinking about skills development, especially in today's world, this type of technology allows you to very quickly and at scale run several assessments and use your people's feedback on how they're seeing those behaviors so that you can work on some cases, individual development plan or some company-wide actions on skills that you have decided that you're going to do transversely. So let's think about those skills we were talking a few slides ago around the AI ops or the data wrangler. Maybe those are things that you would like to somehow measure because you either want to identify people that have potential for those potential roles, or you're already seeing in the new org structure in 2 more years that the people are going to be there, but the roles are going to be different because we're going to have agents doing tasks they're doing right now, but we need them to do other things and we need to train them in order to have them with the right skills so that the performance of that teams grows exponentially. And this is what I wanted to show you. So like I said, today we're not going to do a full demo on NALA. The main goal of this session was making sure that you would learn a bit more first around AI. And just let me show you this. So in the end of the presentation, you're going to get the slides from last week, the full slides, everything that we talk around AI, and you're going to get the full slides that we did today, okay? And last but not least, in the presentation for those who are here, you can access NALA. So if you're just curious about to learn how NALA works, or you would like to see how a system like NALA might help you rethink the time that your team spends on different tasks, feel free to go into NALA demo. The first one, the admin role, is the one that we just reviewed. You can go in as a manager, as an employee. Of course, NALA has a lot of different roles, but for the NALA demo, this is just the one that we have available. And remember, next week, we have our new session. It's going to be on talent reviews and on a bit of succession planning and how, again, AI is shifting how we think of that as a process, but also how that might change in a context where we have different intelligence being part of our organizations. So it's not just about getting people ready for new positions. It's about getting the organization ready for new agents and new skills. So food for thought. Thank you so much for being with me today. It was great sharing with you all of this information. I'm sorry it's a bit overwhelming, but I really hope you get to share this with your team. I really hope that you get out of this session with maybe some new concepts around AI and the impact that's going to have on organizational design and the new teams and the importance of how we measure orchestration, and also inspired by just excited about what's coming, about how we're going to be able to support our teams achieve these milestones, and hopefully motivated you. If you're not being part of the conversation within your company, join the conversation. This is the future. And as we always say, it's important from people from HR to be part of the conversation because we are the ones that bring the people, focus on them. And that, at least from our convictions in NALA, that's absolutely critical. Thank you so much. Excited about joining you next week with this new session on talent reviews and succession planning. And if you want to learn more about NALA, just go to nalarocks.com. We can schedule a conversation or share the link, and we'll be happy to host you again, maybe with people from your team, as we're going to talk about this other challenge and how AI is going to impact talent reviews and succession planning. So I'm going to stop sharing right now, and it was very great being with you and sharing this time. Bye-bye. Have a good one.